Our next speaker here is Chris Crewson. He has been the executive director of Lion Publishers since May 2019, and he has grown the staff from 1 to 15 over that time. Lion has nearly 500 publisher members in the United States and Canada, and has been supported by Google, the Knight Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation, the Democracy Fund, and Meta. Please welcome Chris Crewson. Thank you for being here.
Hey guys, I'm going to talk a little bit, once the slides start, about Lion Publishers and how we scaled one program. So unlike some of the other speakers tonight, I'm not going to talk about the act of journalism. I'm going to talk about Lion's work in trying to help our members navigate the business side of journalism, which is what, after all, funds the whole enterprise to begin with. We have about, like I said, 500 members across the US and Canada. Many of those are very small, almost all of which were started by former journalists who were laid off from a publication or bought out by a publication and went out and started their own publication in their community. The history of Lion before I got there was not uncommon among US nonprofits, which is kind of starting small until you can get enough resources to get a little bit bigger. This is a profile of what our members look like from our annual report a couple of years ago. And as you can see, about half of our members are younger than 3 years old. So we wanted to try a bunch of things in my first time to try to help them with some programs that we ran. So we invented a bunch of different things, but that number 24, 10, 12, those are the number of newsrooms we could help per program, which meant those newsrooms we could help incredibly well and hold their hands, but the other 400 and change didn't get our attention as much. And this kind of just felt bad. As part of this, we developed a diagnostic tool to try to see where those newsrooms were in their sort of life cycle as organizations. That was called a sustainability audit. That proved to be incredibly popular, especially when we started giving money away to induce people to take it. This was a program that was funded both by Google and the Knight, Google in its first year and Google and the Knight Foundation in its second year. And we were able to serve hundreds of newsrooms through this program by giving them a report that laid out their work in that Venn diagram of our sort of definition of sustainability around financial health, operational resilience, and journalistic impact. So we went from 50 in our trial phase of this in 2021 to a ceiling of 180 of those audits in 1 year. An audit at this time is an interview between a publisher and their coach. They are incredibly intense and popular, and they come away with recommendations. So this, an audit that was done for a former Substack local writer, basically helped her turn her Substack newsletter into a real business. This is some feedback that we got from another member of our community who took an audit, who basically said, what you did for me for free and actually paid me to do was worth thousands of dollars if I would have had to pay for that out of pocket. This is the kind of help that we were excited to give to our members until we hit that ceiling. That is a hard stop for us. We knew one of our strategic goals was for any Lion member to be able to get a sustainability audit if they wanted it. In order to do that, we had to radically change the way we did a sustainability audit. Part of the challenge is when you pair a local publisher with a coach, it's all feels, it's all emotion. Somebody finally sees them, somebody finally hears them, and somebody finally responds. So it does feel for them more like therapy than actual coaching, which is a challenge when you're going to take something and tear it down and break it apart, which is what we had to try to do in order for that help to be more broadly available. In the process of doing this, we took a step back and looked at all of the individual pieces of an audit and then figured out how to scale those individual pieces. And broadly, that's the diagnostic. In other words, the information about your site, not just your traffic and your revenue, but the tech stack you're using, the incorporation documents you may or may not have filed. A scary amount of my members, about 60%, do not have media liability insurance in the US. That is a bad idea. And so the auditors, the experts, came up with 35 pages of common responses to those problems. This is the backbone for a scaled audit, taking those 35 and making them available to anyone. So I'm sort of proud to announce tonight that next week, any Lion member can go through our website and get a sustainability audit with the results delivered instantaneously, paired with a scaled coaching, and we're going to subsidize that coaching for the first 50 publisher members who get it, and we're working with other people to try to broaden that. But we've done it. We've taken this tool and made it available to anyone. We are already anticipating this calendar year more than 400 audits after a ceiling of 180 just a year and a half earlier. We're pretty proud of this. We're not quite sure what happens now. Our members have told us they want this, and a number of funders we're working with, including, you may have heard of the Press Forward initiative in the U.S., the $500 million for local journalism. We're talking to them about doing 200 audits this year for their first grantee open call pool. In other words, people can get a sustainability audit now for the first time that aren't Lion members, which lets us do all kinds of things, including possibly opening up this tool overseas and allowing us to work with partner organizations in places like Great Britain, in Australia. The Cattle Media Association has approached us, so we're excited to give this a try. That's my time. Thanks, everybody.